I scored 30 out of 30 in TOEFL writing. When writing my answers, I had a strategy. I used specific vocabulary of which I knew that it would get me a high score. If you want to score high in writing, this video is for you. By the end of this video, you will understand how to use this vocabulary to score high, and you will feel confident for your TOEFL writing test. If you want to improve your TOEFL writing score, also check out my TOEFL course. In this course, I go through each task step by step and show you how to write a high-scoring answer. You can find many sample answers there, templates, as well as tips and strategies on how to score high. Just click on the link in the description box. And now, let's get started. The words I'm talking about are linking words. They're also called transition words. They link ideas between different sentences, and that's why they make you score high. In TOEFL writing, you must organize your ideas clearly, because you get points for a logical flow, and linking words help you get that flow. Additionally, they show that you have a broad range of vocabulary, which will make your score go up. The first word we are going to talk about now is one of my favorites. Not many people use it, and so this one makes you stand out. I use that word in TOEFL writing to show that I know advanced vocabulary. The word is indeed. Indeed shows that you are stressing the following idea. It makes it sound very important to your discussion. For instance, you can say, "My good TOEFL score helped me get into Oxford." Indeed, I could not get in with a bad score. Indeed highlights that the score was really important. Without that good score, I wouldn't have gotten into Oxford. Indeed is not so common, so use it to show that you have a broad vocabulary. The next linking word is one that you are going to need in TOEFL writing, because you often have to write about the consequences of something, and so consequently is super useful. Consequently introduces the result of a discussion. It brings up something that's really logical based on what you've already said. Here's an example. I studied every day for the TOEFL test. Consequently, I scored 30 on the writing section. The idea of studying every day leads to the logical example of getting a good score. So this is an amazing word to make your ideas flow smoothly. When practicing for TOEFL writing, I realized that when I wanted to talk about a sequence of events, I always used next. This is a great linking word, but you don't show that you know a lot of vocabulary if you always use next. So I started using another word that's more advanced, subsequently. This shows that the next thing comes later in time. Usually, the things are related in some way. For example, the first might help the second thing to happen. Look at this sentence. I took the TOEFL test. Subsequently, I got accepted to Oxford. Getting accepted to Oxford came later, but it's still related to taking the TOEFL test. Using subsequently makes sure that you keep the ideas in order, and this makes your answer flow well, which gets you points. Another great linking word is likewise. Test takers often don't use it, so it makes you stand out from the crowd. Likewise is used to stress a similar point between two different situations. For example, you can say, I scored 30 on my TOEFL listening test. Likewise, I scored 30 in reading. In this example, I'm highlighting that there are two different sections, and I got a score of 30 on both of them. Likewise is also good for comparing a common idea about two totally different things, such as the lake with the largest volume of water in the world is the Caspian Sea in Asia. Likewise, the second largest lake is also in Asia. Likewise stresses the fact that two totally different large lakes are in Asia. Use likewise to make your writing more advanced, because this will get you a higher score. By the way, guys, if this video is helpful to you, please hit the like button. Also, comment down below what questions you have about the TOEFL so I know what you're interested in. Now, let's have a look at 4 more words that made me score 30 out of 30 in TOEFL writing. I love the next word, and I loved using it in TOEFL writing because it's advanced vocabulary and creates an amazing flow. The word is however. However is like the opposite of likewise. It's used to show that there is something different or unexpected about the following idea. However makes your ideas flow logically. Have a look at this sentence. I love reading books. I went hiking last weekend. These sentences don't make too much sense without a linking word. I mean, if I love reading books, why did I go hiking? If the examiner sees this, he doesn't understand what you want to say. Now, let's add however. I love reading books. However, I went hiking last weekend. Now the examiner can see the relationship between the ideas. However shows that I went hiking, despite the fact that I love reading books. It warns the reader that the following sentence is not the logical result. In other words, you can use however when you're adding something that's a little unexpected or that limits the statement you just made. When taking the TOEFL writing test, you must write about examples. Every strong answer has an example to back up your argument. If you always write, for example, the examiner will think that you don't know any other vocabulary to talk about examples. Therefore, you must absolutely use the word I'm going to show you now because it helps you talk about examples. The word is for instance. You can use for instance at the start of a sentence like this. For instance, last weekend, I read a book by Agatha Christie. You can also put it at the end of the example, like, I love reading books. Last weekend, I read a book by Agatha Christie, for instance. You can even put for instance in the middle of the sentence. I love reading books. Last weekend, for instance, I read a book by Agatha Christie. You have to be careful about where you put it though. This is a more advanced technique and I'd suggest not using it unless you're very comfortable with grammar. If you're new to linking words, just put them at the start of the sentence. Next is furthermore. If you want to add more examples about the same subject, you can use furthermore. For example, I love reading books. Last weekend, for instance, I read a book by Agatha Christie. Furthermore, I read some short stories by Edgar Allan Poe. Do you see how I build on the same idea of I love reading books? I show that I read stories by 2 different authors in one weekend. Without the furthermore, the reader doesn't know when you read the short stories. But if you use furthermore, you tell the reader that you read the short stories last weekend too. Let's check out the final linking word that I use to score 30 out of 30. I love that one because it makes your writing sound really advanced. The word is nevertheless. You use nevertheless to show that something happens despite something else. I like to use it when I describe something that I do, even though other people disagree. For example, my friend said it is too hard to get into Oxford. Nevertheless, I applied and got accepted. Nevertheless shows that I tried something, applying to Oxford, even though other people said it was too hard. If you use nevertheless, you show that your English is advanced and that you can express yourself precisely. This will get you a higher score. These are the linking words I use to get 30 out of 30 in TOEFL writing. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their TOEFL score too. See you in the next video!